So this is my debut presentation for Mackay. We are a new company. We've been private. I've been CEO for about 6 months. The company gets its name after John Mackay. He was an Irish immigrant who made his way over to California in the California Gold Rush and in 1849, and eventually made his way over the mountains to the Comstock district. He didn't discover it, but he did become one of America's richest men, if not the richest man, based on the ore deposits in the Comstock. So it is one of those true world-class districts. It's one of the greats of the high-grade gold, silver epithermal systems. The opportunity I'm going to present today really focuses on the fact that it's gone unbelievably underexplored over the last 100 years or so. We are focused on deposits of size. The best place to find big deposits is next to existing deposits of scale. Our target is we're looking for something 5 million ounces or greater. It won't happen in one day, but that's the focus. And you do that by putting together good teams. And you'll see we built quite a deep bench of folks with deep Nevada experience and true ore finders. There's a lot of geologists in this business, but I like to follow the ones that know how to find ore deposits. And as far as jurisdictions go, if you're going to find a good deposit, valuation isn't based just solely on the asset itself. It's also based on where it's found. You're going to get paid top dollar for your discoveries in places like Nevada, where you can permit mines and you've got infrastructure. So the Comstock lode, it really is it's a super cool system. There's not many out there that have this kind of grade and this kind of endowment. It's all in, it's over 10 million ounces gold equivalent of past production. And almost all of that was between 1859 and 1926. It really goes back. If you think of this on a current gross metal value in terms of what that rock was, it was over 8 million ounces at over 35 grams per ton, over gold and over 700 grams per ton silver. So that's over $5,000 a ton, the rock, in terms of its value. It's incredibly rich rock. And what made this so neat is not just that combination of grade and endowment. It was really the scale of the district and the scale of the vein system. It was not a skinny little vein. They pioneered large open stope mining. Square set timbering was developed in this environment. Went down a kilometer, which is very deep for an epithermal system, and it bodes well for exploration. So looking at it from, I guess, the history here, 1859 is when it was discovered and put into production. This was really before mining laws were invented in the US. And it was a patchwork of different small claims. There was dozens of mines developed here. And it's really that legacy of kind of fragmented land ownership that has led to the opportunity today. Camps like this are hard to consolidate. They take time to consolidate. There were groups before us that did some of the initial legwork on that consolidation, but they never got around to exploring the property. So we're picking up where they left off with the intent to continue the consolidation and go out there and discover significant ore deposits. So we are new. We're private. We've raised $10 million to date at 50 cents. We're targeting go public listing Q1 2026, probably late March is what we're looking at right now. We're going to do that by way of an RTO. We've got the vehicle, everything set up in place, ready to go. So that's moving along very nicely. And so this is our first really getting out there, marketing the story. Really looking to initially, we haven't set the price yet, the terms. We're going to wait until January, see where the markets sit. A lot can change between now and then, but we're pretty confident on the 20 million USD raise of being able to attract that interest and more. In terms of a team, we're building out a great team, in my opinion. Some of these names may be familiar to you. Those that have experience in Nevada should know folks like Jeff Pontius. He sold his company, Corvus, to AngloGold in about 2 or 3 years ago after discovery in Nevada. Sold for about $400 million. He's a real ore finder. He's got a lot of experience in Nevada and throughout the Americas and with senior producers. He's a great addition to our board. Moira Smith, Dr. Moira Smith, she's probably the smartest geologist in Nevada. She was part of the frontier team on the discovery through advancement and ultimate sale of the Long Canyon deposit to Newmont for $2 billion. David Reese, one of the best structural geologists on the planet, in my opinion. And, so we're bringing this mix of really, really strong technical talent with really strong capital markets and mining experience. Some of the other names you see on here, John Robinson and others. So looking at kind of our land package right now, this is a snapshot in time. In fact, it's already out of date. We continue to grow. The key geological elements you see here are, I don't know, probably don't have a pointer, do I? But you'll see where it says Comstock lode on the left. That was where the vast majority of the production came out of. The Occidental Brunswick lode is on the east side, or to the right. This is the first time that has ever been fully consolidated under one roof. Both are several kilometers long. The Silver City lode we don't control right now with another vein structure in the area. Looking at it geologically now, this is what we'll call a long section through the Comstock lode. I view this as a bit of a blueprint for us in terms of how we can go about exploring the Occidental and elsewhere on the property. Vast majority of the production came from these bonanza lodes. Remember, this was 1859 when this was put into production. This thing was producing for 50 years before they discovered the ore deposits in Timmins in Canada, for example, which are some of the oldest mines in Canada. The cutoff grade at that time when they started was about a half ounce per ton. By the time this mine ended, it was about a quarter ounce per ton. So there was an awful lot of gold left behind in this mine. They only focused on those true bonanza lodes, which were incredibly valuable deposits. Calculations of the historic inventory there in terms of that value would be on today's metal prices over $50 million, $50 billion worth of metal value in the ground. If this were found today, that would be one big open pit. I'm sure there'd be 20 million ounces there. You're not going to pit that today because there is a town sitting on top of that, but you definitely can go back in and explore for underground mining opportunities there. As far as our exploration strategy goes, we've got sort of 4 primary targets out of the gates here. Number 1 and 2 is going to be our immediate focus, which is on the Occidental Brunswick, which, as I say, is a parallel structure. So it has the same strike orientation, has the same dip. It formed at nominally the same time as the main Comstock, and there's been about 20 holes drilled on it over a 6-kilometer length. It's kind of mind-blowing that you can be that close to so much gold and see so little past exploration. And I'm going to walk you through that and a couple others here. I only have a limited amount of time, so I won't get too detailed. But just looking here, a side-by-side long section of the Comstock lode. As I say, it's sort of our blueprint for how we can explore the Occidental. These are very similar scale vein structures. At the Occidental Brunswick, there was past mining. It had similar grade and style as the main Comstock, but nowhere near the same volume. Our thesis is that due to the way these things formed and the structures that offset them, it hasn't been eroded down into the core of the system yet. You're just a little higher in the system, and in epithermal gold systems, where you sit vertically actually makes a difference from an exploration standpoint. And the old-timers, they didn't drill. They just developed on bonanza ore bodies. That's what they used to develop the ore bodies. They'd follow them down. There wasn't quite enough encouragement on surface. You could get 1 gram, 5 gram, that kind of stuff. That was waste back in the day on surface, so it didn't get the underground development that you saw on the main Comstock lode. But we do have one piece of information that tells us it goes deep, and that was a tunnel. It was this, what you see on there, that green line. You may be able to see it. It's called the Sutro Tunnel. That was actually built as a drainage tunnel about 20 years into the mining of the Comstock lode. It came from 4 miles away from a valley on an incline so that it could gravity drain the water from the old mine. Pumping technology in the 1800s wasn't what it is today, and they had a lot of water inflow problems. That tunnel's purpose was to drain the main lode, but it actually cut through the Occidental vein about 1,500 feet below surface, well below any of the previous workings, and went through about a 100-foot wide zone of vein, which was described in the day as being mineralized but sub-economic. There's actually newspapers reports saying someday this will be mined when mining costs can get reduced. It's never been drilled. There's never been any follow-up on that. But that's a key data point to tell us the system has legs to depth. And when you go to the far southern end, you can see where the number 1 is on that figure. That area has been drilled. There's been about 14 holes drilled in that area. They've all hit mineralization. The only other holes that we know of on this were right around the Occidental mine in the 1990s. There were 6 holes drilled there. We don't have access to that data. So it's kind of a blank canvas for us with lots of information to tell us there's good potential on this trend. And just zooming in on that southern Occidental area, we sort of have a discovery in the making that the market doesn't know about as a starting point. You can see the scale there, 50 meters. This is 300 meters east-west for scale of the image. These aren't all bonanza grades, but they are for Nevada, for oxide, heap leachable, near surface within 50 meters, very nice intersections. They average better than a gram over 25 meters over that distance. There's some beauties in there, 21 meters of 3 grams, 32 meters of 6.9 grams, 25 meters of 13.5 grams. Those are definitely underground mineable grades, but you're sitting in a heap leach oxide kind of environment, and it's wide open to the south, to the north, and down dip. These holes were drilled between 2018 and 2021 by former operators, and they were failing at the time. Most of them were done privately, and that is our starting point for us coming out of the gates. It gives us some confidence. This is sitting right at surface next to one of the all-time great gold-silver systems. We think it bodes well for what we can find in this environment. That's not to ignore the main Comstock lode. We do control 60-70% of the main Comstock lode itself, which, a lot of people go back into old mines that shut down in the 1990s. This is a mine that shut down, some of these in the late 1800s, full 100 years before that. And cutoff grades are different than they are today. We do have data from guys that came in the 1920s, sort of 60 years after this thing had started, went back in and they did a lot of channel sampling. We have access to that data. It's like 13,000 samples. And they came up with a 1 million ounce resource of 5 to 6 grams. That's not 43-101 compatible. It's not, we consider it just an inventory. But it is significant to tell you that there's probably a lot left behind in this environment. And that'll be our sort of second phase, is focusing on that area. So real quickly here, our main kind of timeline or exploration plans over the next 18 to 24 months, it's really going to be priority focused on the Occidental Brunswick lode, where we think we have every chance to develop something like the Comstock itself. We will also be developing our targets on the Comstock lode and other district targets. But it's definitely a place where you can dream 5 million ounces or more pretty easily. Our go public schedule here, we've been busy over the last 6 months building the team. We raised $4 to $6.5 million privately US to secure the assets to buy them outright. We've been consolidating more land, building up our plans. Target right now, as I say, is March of 2026 for go public, where we're looking to raise 20 million. This is our cap table. This is full open kimono in terms of everything that's been issued. The founders round at 5 cents, most of that went to the original property vendors. I came in 6 months ago and have built the team since that point. We raised $6.5 million, as I say, so 34 million shares outstanding right now, and cash on hand is a little over 2 million. It's about 2.3 as of today. So that's the story. This is one of the last great American gold-silver districts that hasn't seen modern exploration. And the reason for that is it needed consolidation. There were guys that started on that consolidation before us, but they fell into the trap of thinking they were miners. They actually made a discovery, grew a 2 million ounce resource, and failed on that development, leaving the rest of it unexplored. Consolidation is key. Marry that with a good team and a good market and some capital, and I'm very excited about where we're going to take this.
We've got 1 minute for questions, if anybody has anything. We go,
Where's the tunnel located, on top or nearby?
Where's the tunnel, did you say? It's from the valley next door. It's
So it's nearby.
yeah, it goes right through. Let's see if I can show you here. On this map, it would actually, I guess I don't have a laser pointer. Anyhow, it cuts from the east side and comes all the way through underneath, but at depth all the way through. But it pops out in Carson River Valley, like 4 miles away. It was an epically long tunnel.
and your quick one?
Yeah. What percentage of your authority is covered by the town?
You can see on there where it says Virginia City, that's part of the town there, and along that trend. So the town was built right on top of the Comstock lode. The Occidental Brunswick